Hi, family. Today I want to talk about don't ever count yourself short, especially if you're following God. You see, I'm going to give a little story that happened to me where I didn't feel confident enough to compete with anybody. You see, but I have a strong wife and she's great. And she looks at things realistic, right? So I went to get a job in a drug program right after September 11th. And when I went to go get the job, I seen a friend of mine's and that's, that I ain't seen for a long time. I had just came home right before September 11th. And my friend called me and we started talking and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm working in a restaurant until I find something better." He said, "What are you looking for?" I said, "I don't know, work in a drug program or something and help people." He pulled out one of his cards and he told me, "Come call me and come see me. I'm a supervisor in a drug program." I said, "Thank you." I got in touch with it and all that, and he got an interview with me, for me. You see, and I was happy. I said, "Wow, I'm gonna get to do what I want to do." You know, putting people in programs, I'm an outreach worker, HIV pre and post counselor, and which I learned all from there, thanks to my friends, because he got me the job as a supervisor or got me the interview, but there were other friends of mine that was working there as well. And so when I got the interview, I went over there to get the job. So I'm sitting down with a guy that had a master's and a bachelor's, sociology, psychology. It just threw me off. I said, "Oh wow, I got a GED and went to college for a year. I don't have no degree. And I'm gonna challenge a guy with a master's and a bachelor's degree. I'm going home." So I call my wife and I tell my wife, "Honey, I'm going home." My wife is very firm. "Why?" I said, "There's a guy here that's gonna go to the interview before me, and he got a master's and a bachelor's in sociology, psychology." He said, "Okay, but does he have the experience you have? You've been there and done that." In good words, what she was telling me. I said, "Okay," and I stood there. The guy comes out and he tells me, "Good luck with this guy." He didn't even let me talk. I said, "Okay, thank you." I went inside, and before he could say something, I took out my hand, shook his hand, and explained to him, "Listen, I got a GED in jail. I started college in jail, and all the experience I got is from the street. I'm an ex-drug addict, and all these certificates I got on different programs, peer counselor, and etc. are from jail." And he looked at me. He said, "Okay." And I got my doctrine in jail because I did 25 to life. I felt small, you know. So then he looked at me and he said, "I only got one question for you." I said, "Okay." He told me, "You see, everybody that have come to work here works with active drug addicts. And if you was a drug addict, how could you convince me that you're not going to use drugs anymore? You're not going to relapse. So I smiled and I laughed a little. And he told me, this is a serious conversation, a serious question. I said, okay. So being that you know this and have the experience and all that, you also know that a non-active drug addict that stopped using drugs and wants to return to drugs because he's still having fixes in a problem and still got issues, I told him, what better excuse to get high when you was next to September 11th when it happened? Because as a drug addict, the first thing that comes into your mind is the world is gonna end. Let me get high. If I'm gonna die high. I don't wanna feel nothing. And he looked at me and he smiled just like I smiled at him and told me, go to the supervisor and tell him to welcome you to our family. I was happy, but I didn't show it, you know? So I went up to my supervisor and my friends that were working there and said, he said to welcome me to your family. And they were happy. I called my wife because I was happy and told her, honey, I got the job. And her response was, I know, I told you so. You see, don't count yourself short because you don't have what other people have. Because your story is not the same as theirs. Experience is the best teacher. So if you've been through anything that I've been through, or you've been through something, and you see somebody drowning in that same situation, save their life. You see, that's what I live for. Because that's what God did for us. He came down as a human form to live our lives and to die for our sins. Don't ever count yourself short. God bless you. Real Talk with Victor. I'll see you tomorrow.